Vairishi Ka Khalsa, Vairishi Ki Fateh. I'm Gurpreet and welcome to the Sikhlens YouTube channel. Today our guest is Harinder Singh, an active member of the Sikh diaspora in the UK. Harinder has published stories from the Sikh world for children. He has also conceptualized and compiled the recently launched book published by Sikhlens called From Sikh Wisdom, A Journey of Discovery. Harinder is a regular participant in interfaith dialogue forums in the UK and has also recently been involved in producing Sikh-centric 3D animation films. Welcome, Harinder ji, to Sikhlens.
Thank you very much.
So, Harinder ji, how do we progress on the spiritual path based on the teachings in the Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh scriptures?
Gurpreet ji, walking on the path of spirituality is a process. So it is a process like milk contains yogurt, butter, lassi, ghee, but there is a process that's needed to create these. A particular tempo of churning is needed. Our soul contains all the ingredients to achieve enlightenment, but it is a step-by-step process.
Okay.
In Japji Sahib, we've been given 38 steps to progress on a spiritual journey. But just reading the 38 paudis is just an initial step. We need to contemplate and understand the wisdom that is contained in our morning prayer by Guru Nanak. Japji Sahib is an awakening to life's calling, our quest to live by a genuine, authentic, divine nature.
Okay.
It empowers us to cut through what is fake and superficial. On gaining enlightenment, Guru Nanak was instructed by Ik Onkar, the divine force, to spread the message of oneness of humanity and to adopt the practice of Naam, Daan, Ishnan. The message in this prayer from Guru Nanak to humanity is that if you really want to live a fulfilled life and progress spiritually, then chant, meditate, contemplate, and live as per the divine laws, the laws of one force. Like it says, Je jeena hai, taan jap.
What are the three main spiritual pillars in Sikhism?
In Sikhism, Naam, Daan, Ishnan are three pillars of spirituality needed to progress towards a state of enlightenment.
Okay.
All three pillars are interrelated.
Can you explain each of these three pillars in detail?
Sure. The first one is Naam, or the divine name. Naam suggests tuning into the wavelength of the infinite divine presence. It connects us to the Creator. Naam Simran, or meditation, introspection, chanting, singing, contemplating on our own self, and reflecting on the divine attributes, and to show gratitude for the gift of human life bestowed upon us. Daan is benevolent giving. It allows one's life to flow with benevolent giving and also letting go of the negativities which surface in life, which we can easily hold on to. Daan then connects us to others. Daan is some kind of charitable help, which is selfless or nishkam, that is without ulterior motives of self-promotion. If a millionaire, for example, donates millions towards building a hospital, but the condition is they put his name on the building, then this kind of giving is somewhat selfish and has little value in the spiritual domain. It could be that this millionaire is doing this to inspire others, in which case it has more value. But on the other hand, another person gives $1 million but does not want his name to be mentioned. This is the highest form of giving without an ulterior motive. Yeah. Everything that we have is a blessing from the divine, and we should never forget Je de vadiyai, taan teri vadiyai, meaning that whatever praise or honor I get, it is praise and honor for God. On the other hand, I give $1 million to a temple but ask the priest to prominently mention my name. What am I trying to do? Am I trying to bribe God? Selfless giving is important. It can be in the form of providing langar, free food, financial help to the needy, helping someone with a disability, a kind gesture, smiling and talking to a lonely person, looking after parents or older people. Even sharing our knowledge, our wisdom, are just some examples of daan or selfless giving. Daan can also be giving up our vices. The third pillar is Ishnan, meaning bathing. But in Gurbani, it relates to a connection with the self. It suggests daily inner cleansing. Guruji says, Bande khoj dil har roz, meaning, oh, being, introspect on a daily basis. Evaluating ourselves on a daily basis leads to awareness of where we are going wrong, being aware of how much calm, which means lust, krodh, meaning anger, lobh, meaning attachments, and moh, meaning desires, and hankar, self-important ego, whether all these have increased or decreased.
The Sikh scriptures, the Guru Granth Sahib, are often referred to as Sukh Sagar or ocean of bliss. Can you explain that further, please?
Sure. Well, water is a very powerful image in Gurbani, and the entire Guru Granth Sahib is sometimes described as Sukh Sagar or ocean of bliss to dive into daily. Appearing every now and then in its verses is the image of a fish that cannot live without water. The fish symbolizes the human self that becomes truly alive by perceiving the waves of divine presence everywhere. To forget the divine leaves us spiritually parched and lifeless. Water then helps us to visualize Naam as the unseen divine vibration, which Guru Nanak became fully conscious of. With its fluid movement, water paints for us a picture of the waves and frequencies that underlie all dimensions of creation. We ourselves are affected by the ripples and currents inside and around us emitted by the self-centered ego or by our higher and more noble awareness. Guru Nanak helped people to better see and navigate these forces and to stay in the flow of higher vibrations to steer the future course of their lives. Water is life-giving and life-sustaining. In scripture, the sacred word that connects us to the divine presence is described as Amrit Naam, the ambrosial nectar which Guru Nanak had tasted and absorbed. 2 centuries later, when the 10th Guru established the Khalsa order of disciples, the Amrit, or sweetened and sanctified water used in the initiation, would reverberate with this memory of Guru Nanak's enlightenment experience. Water is also cleansing. In India, the tradition of making pilgrimages to bathe in the waters of holy sites was an act of ritual purification. Guru Nanak redirected the focus to inner cleansing in the sacred shrine of the self. He described Naam as the soap and water to wash away the build-up of negative impressions that accumulate on our inner being, moment by moment, and even across lifetimes. Inner cleansing then means renewing, refreshing, and transforming the inner self. Through its constant flow, water also carries the qualities of being able to give and let go. It transforms things gradually over time, like waves washing past rocks. Water's natural downward movement is also associated with humility, the one virtue Guru Nanak had asked to be blessed, so as to remain untouched by the feeling of self-importance from people's praise. Whether their life revolves around family, service, or spiritual seeking, they remain centered in the flow of the Guru's wisdom. Guru Nanak says by practicing Naam, Dan, Ishnan, they remain awake to the divine presence.
Of these 3 pillars, which do you think is the most important?
Naam Simran, meditating on the divine name and attributes, is the most important, as per my thinking. But it needs to be done with love, devotion, and understanding. However, Dan and Ishnan are also very important, as it helps to break down a negative ego of self-importance and thereby makes it easier to do Naam Simran. These 3 pillars are the antidote or the antiviruses to remove the viruses that have infected us human beings and created our sanskars, our destiny, over perhaps many lifetimes. Guruji says, Bande bandagi ikhtiyar karo. O being, adopt meditation of the divine spiritual values. Make Naam Simran the food for our souls, just like we need food for our body. When we meditate, we tap into God's creative powers of Nirbhav, Nirvair, fearless and without malice. Naam Tera, Adhar Mera, meaning your Simran meditation is my support, should be adopted as our life force. To live a life within society, but in a detached attachment, like a lotus blossoming despite being in muddy waters. Let us give gratitude in times of happiness, pray for strength in times of stress or sadness, and adopt Vaheguru Simran at all times. Guru Nanak says, Nanak ke ghar keval naam. Naam is supreme in Nanak's home. As Guru Nanak says, Nanak dukhiya sab sansar, so sukhiya jis naam adhar. The whole world is troubled and unhappy. Only those who adopt the support of Naam are happy and in bliss. Sikhi has such simple principles without superstitious rituals. Naam, as a pracharak Veer Manpreet Singh says, is the electricity that powers our energy. If a fan is switched off, it stops within about 20 seconds. Similarly, without Naam, our power bank, we gradually lose our life force.
I really like your contemporary references. Are there certain protocols in that case that Sikhs have to follow to be on the spiritual path?
Yes, for us Sikhs, we have protocols like going to the Gurdwara, removing our shoes, covering the head, listening to divine kirtan and thought for the day taken from Guru Granth Sahib, participating in making or serving langar, cleansing shoes of devotees, cleansing utensils, etc., are all initial steps to help us cleanse some of our home or ego of self-importance. It helps us to adopt humility in our life. Humbleness is not weakness. Only a strong, balanced person can be humble. Kirtan, Naam Simran, Daan, introspection and Vichar, spiritual discourse, etc., are higher frequencies which help drown out the dangerous frequencies of the material world and help us to Antar Guru Aradhana, Jeva Jap Gurnao, Netri Satgur Pekhna, Sravani Sunna Gurnao. Meaning that in our mind, let us introspect and meditate, use our tongue to utter divine words and not abuses, use our eyes to perceive the divine in all and the ears to listen to divine Naam. Every divine Shabad, hymn and Gurbani has a vibration, a frequency. We are using these frequencies to cleanse our mind, to remove some of our pasts and scars. Initially, the outer surfaces of our impressions are removed, but further contemplation and adopting a dharmic lifestyle, a lifestyle of righteous living, leads to a stage where we can control our thought patterns at a deeper, higher level.
Why is it that the Sikh scriptures, most of the Sikh scriptures, are set to classical music?
Divine music, Kirtan, has the power to release feel-good endorphins. Gurbani Kirtan, which is the instrument used by the Gurus from the time of Guru Nanak to connect to the divine vibrations. That is why most of the Guru Granth Sahib has been set in classical music. As our Guru said, Kaljug mein Kirtan Pradhan. In this dark age of Kaljug, divine music of Kirtan is the panacea.
But then the question arises, how do we become that rare person who obtains the grace of Naam Simran and walks on the path of spirituality?
Right. The answer to that comes in the shape of advice by Guru Ram Das, who says, Satgur ka jo Sikh kahave, balke uthe, naam tihaye. This initial step to get up in the ambrosial hours between 3 and 6 a.m. is vital because the negative Maya vibrations are low and the higher vibrations dominate. Guru Nanak makes it very clear in Japji Sahib when he asks the question, what should we do to attain sight of the divine kingdom? He then himself replies, for our benefit, Amrit Vela Sach Now Vadiyai Vichar. Make the effort to get up early. Guruji says, have a bath and then cleanse one's soul in the nectar of Gurbani. Mool Mantra chanting or listening to Mool Mantra in the early morning, then chanting Gur Mantra of Vahe Guru, Wondrous God, or Wow Guru and Satnam Vaheguru, the one true permanent God, Ek Onkar, or one divine force. This is the first step to progress on the spiritual path. Secondly, vichar karo, contemplate, discuss what is the Guru trying to say to us. Are we following the Guru's instructions of Nam, Dan, Ishnan? Thirdly, when the sun starts to rise, keep the resonance of Gurbani within our own mind at all times. This does not mean that we have to keep chanting all the time. What it means is that in our daily life, we should be aware of what we think, what we utter from our mouth, and what actions we undertake. Are we thinking bad thoughts about others or good thoughts and sending virtual good wishes? Are we uttering foul words, degrading others, nindya chugli, or gossiping about others and backbiting? And finally, most important, what actions are we taking in our workplace or business? Are we sincerely working or are we relaxing just because the boss is not around? Okay. In business, are we being honest, traders, or defrauding others? Are we making a fast buck by falsely claiming on insurance, etc.? All of these thoughts, words, and actions are being constantly recorded in our conscience, which is like an aircraft's black box, and the debits and credits are accumulating. These thoughts, words, and actions, I believe, are being instantly downloaded into God's iCloud, which is not 1,000 or million terabytes, but inexhaustible and unlimited terabytes. As Guru Nanak says, Changyaiyan buraiyan vache taram hajur, karmi apo apni ke nede ke dur. All our actions are being recorded, and these determine our own destiny.
I really like the way that you have brought in modern life comparisons in your explanation. That's really, really wonderful. But then, do our past life karmas also affect our present life karma? So how do they affect our destiny?
Yes, whatever is happening in our life is not because God has fostered this upon us, but is actually determined by our own self. That's my belief. Dukh sukh is man ki birtha, says Nanak, which means that it's our own perceptions that create a state of happiness or sorrow. There is no heaven or hell up there in the skies. It is right here on earth. We create our own heaven and hell by the state of our own mind's perceptions. Those beings who have achieved balance or equilibrium in their lives are not affected by the ups and downs of life. Dukh and sukh are the flip side of the same coin. As Bhai Mohinder Singh Ji advises us that in order to become balanced human beings, we must adopt the practice of listening, chanting, and contemplation. But along with this, we must choose our sangat very carefully. Sangat means company, but not just the company of other humans, but also the company of books, the company of what we watch on television or what we listen to. All these leave an impression on our mind and determine mental peace or turmoil. Watching programs of sex and violence leaves a lasting negative impression on our mind, or watching negative serials will lead to unhappiness in our own household.
Harinder ji, to move on to a slightly different topic, Guru Nanak spoke of equality and dignity of all. Could you please elaborate about that?
Yes, Guru Nanak spoke about religious equality. One of the quotations from Guru Nanak is that, see all humans as fellow travelers on the path of life. Let the oneness of humanity be your highest religious order. That's what he said. And then on gender equality, he says, among all women and men, the light of the divine radiates. And then on social equality, he says, embodying the Guru's wisdom, look upon all with a gaze of equality. So the Singh Twins have brought this out in a beautiful artwork as well, which you can see on the screen. And in this artwork by the Singh Twins, Guru Nanak outlines oneness and equal dignity for all beings. He also says, having traveled across new lands, I've come here to do business. For I heard of an incomparable merchandise which brings true profit. I arrive here with a precious bundle, the wealth of spiritual virtue, which is my business capital. Beholding this fascinating jewel, my mind is in awe. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Dhanvant naam ke vanjare. Guru Nanak warns us, हीरे जैसा जन्म है, कोडी बदले जाए. Beware, human life is so precious like a diamond. Without recognizing its true worth, we foolishly exchange it for the price of a mere shell. He says, rich are those who travel to this world to trade in Naam, the divine name, partner with them, earn the wealth of Naam, reflect on the Guru's wisdom, abandon fraud, deceit, and malice, see God's light always within you and others, trade in and accumulate this true wealth, and you shall never suffer loss. Use and spend it. Its treasures are abundant and cannot be exhausted. Says Nanak, your travelling soul then shall return with dignity to the divine court. That's a quote from Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Guru Angad Dev Ji exhorts us when he says, O my mind, you embody the divine flame. Recognize the root of your own being. And Guru Arjan says, wherever I gaze, the infinite creator is the root of all things. Both subtle and manifest is the presence of the divine. Just as love and fragrance so naturally emanate outwards, those who follow the Guru's path go beyond themselves to uplift others. They come to emanate parupkar, altruism, across everyday divides and borders. Naam Simran, meditating on divine name and divine qualities, is like a neighborhood watch scheme, whereby Naam, Dan, and Ishnan are officers on special duty. They then enroll Sat, truth, and Santok, contentment, within this watch scheme. Guru Nanak says in Rairas, the evening prayer, Thal vich tin vastu payo, Sat, Santok, Vicharo. In this human plate, the body, we have further antiviruses of Sat and Santok and contemplation. Sat means to live a righteous life, a life of dharmi, of truthful living, of compassion and love for all beings and for our Mother Earth, nature, birds and animals. Guru Nanak advises us by using the imagery of a weaver and says, make compassion your cotton, contentment your thread, make fidelity its knot and integrity its twist. Santok means contentment, to be happy with what we have and not constantly running after material goods because our desires are never ending. Once we've got the Mercedes we yearn for, we are happy for some time, of course, but then we hanker after a newer model or another fancy car. Desires are endless and happiness from these is only temporary. None of our fancy cars, houses, wealth, wife, family is going to go with us when we depart. We all have a sell-by date or use-by date. In fact, I would go so far as to say we are all dead men walking, a term that is normally used for death row inmates in America.
What Guru Nanak said 550 years ago is about equality and dignity for all is as true today as it was then. And a lot of the thoughts that you have expressed are still as relevant today for us in modern life. So in that case, would you tell us how can we be content in our lives today?
First of all, I think we need to keep in mind that we do not have a freehold on this life. It is a leasehold. Some have a 99-year lease, others perhaps 50 years, and still some may even be stillborn. So their lease has expired even before they step into this world. As Guru Nanak says, Pehla maran kabul kar, jine ki chhad aas. First accept that you will die and do not expect that you will carry on living forever. Hum admi ek dami. We are but a breath away from life or death. This is a fact, as we have witnessed in this pandemic. Young and old, sick and healthy have been dropping dead like flies. The word admi can be broken down into dami. Dami is breath, means come. So if the breath does not come, then it's goodbye to this world, goodbye to family and wealth. In fact, those who loved us might moan and cry, but the fact that it is that your soul has departed, your energy bank is dead, and your family want you gone ASAP, whether it's 6 foot under or a pile of ashes. This might seem very gaulish and uncomfortable to hear. But my friends, this is the only fact of life. The sooner we wake up from a slumber and start leading a life of righteousness, the sooner we will become balanced, happy, spiritual beings. In the conclusion of our morning prayer, Guru Nanak uses the imagery and patience of a goldsmith and says, make a space in your own mind, a workshop of pure focus and self-control. Have the patience of a goldsmith. Let your thinking be the anvil on which you forge your understanding. Take the hammer of enduring wisdom to mold and shape it. Let the furnace within you be fueled by the bellows of your awestruck reverence for the divine. In the flame of your conscience, become a crucible of enduring love. Melt within it the sublime Amrit nectar to refine the ore into pure liquid gold. This is how the Shabad, the sacred word, is cast in life's truest mint. Those who are so blessed can undertake this rare labor of love. Says Nanak, through the glance of grace they flourish in serene exhilaration. Guru Nanak in the penultimate steps of Japji also takes us through the various khands or stages or domains to final enlightenment. We are introduced to Dharam Khand, the realm of enlightened, accountable living. Then Gyan Khand, the realm of spiritual insight and wisdom. Thirdly, Dharam Khand, the realm of transformative, humble effort. Fourthly, Karm Khand, the realm of divine grace. And finally, Sachkhand, the realm of ultimate truth. To ascend through these interrelated khands is to experience gear changes in our spiritual growth and selfless flourishing. It is easy to think that our birth, life, and death may just be random events on a floating planet with no purpose except to eat, drink, and be merry. Khao piyo ash karo mitro. But for Guru Nanak, life on earth brims with purpose, for it was established as a dharamsal, a home, school, or temple for the practice of dharam, a spiritually enlightened and accountable way of living, inspired by a loving duty towards the Creator and creation. As a dharamsal, the earth is also a temporary stopover for us as spiritual travelers. It is a place we visit as spiritual traders as well, in order to use, invest, and multiply the wealth of divine virtues to leave a worthwhile legacy and depart with our souls enriched. Let us work towards enlightenment, which only the rare beings will achieve. But we can all take small steps towards that ultimate goal wherein grace happens when one's so enraptured by the divine that one even loses track of day or night or sun or stars. Such a person becomes one with the divine. Kabir ji says, Tu karta tu hua, mujh mein raha na koi. Such a person meditates sitting, standing, and even while sleeping. His subconscious mind is repeating God's name. It's a constant resonance, nad, the sound of creation, unstruck sound that reverberates throughout creation and is audible only to the enlightened. But let us at least endeavor to start this journey, for even our small steps will lead us to having bakshish, the beneficial glance of Vaheguru, which can then give us peace of mind and empower us to keep progressing on the spiritual path.
Thank you, Harinder ji, for a very enlightening talk about the spiritual path for a Sikh and also how to be content in this lifetime. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you very much for watching the Sikhlens YouTube channel, the talks that we've had on the spiritual path in Sikhi as well as the oneness of all humanity. Thank you very much, and do stay tuned for our future programming. Thank you.